Hello, welcome to Unit 40 of this course in Global English. We are in speaking module, Unit number 6, and this is the second part of our conversation on stress on English words. We said in the earlier units that unlike other languages, stress on bi, tri and polysyllabic words, stress on long English words is not uniformly fixed. It is not that all words get stress only on the final syllable or only on the initial syllable or only in the middle of the word. There are many reasons following which stress changes in English words from nouns to verbs to adjectives to adverbs, or from words of 2 syllables, 3 syllables, 4 syllables, or the structure of these syllables, or how the word ends. Does it end in EE or does it end in AL or does it end in something else? So, all of these factors together have made learning proper stresses on English words a little more difficult than learning other aspects of speaking in English. But as with learning any other language, there are some aspects which are relatively easy to learn, and there are some aspects which take a little while, a little time, attention and patience to do that. But once we do that, then it works all across the board. You do not have to learn individually stressing all the several 100,000 words in English. If you do that just for about 400 or 500 words, because you anyway do other words all right, because most of the time most words that we use are words of one syllable and there is no question of any wrong stress there. It is only under 20% words that have either 2 syllables or 3 or longer, and even there most of the words are correctly stressed by us. So, that leaves about a few hundred words in common use where we have to relearn proper stressing, and even that is not very difficult with some attention, some practice for about a few weeks. As I said earlier, not overdoing it and not doing it in a half-hearted manner. With proper attention, patience and practice, we will get it. Here today in this unit, we are going to look at different categories under which stress changes. It is nouns are stressed one way, nouns of 3 syllables are stressed one way, nouns of 2 syllables are stressed another way, nouns of only 1 syllable the question does not arise. Even in the nouns of 2 syllables, some words are stressed on the final, one on the pre-final. So is it on the nouns of 3 syllables. So, we are going to look at these patterns. There is a similar thing with verbs, there is a similar thing with adjectives and adverbs. Why there are these changes? We have explained in some detail in the resource book attached to this course. If you are interested, you can look up that resource book. You can see the explanation, the description, the theory behind it, the exercises, and then the tests followed by answers. So, if you spend some time, you will acquire it all in the standard manner in just about a few weeks. That is all. Here, as the title of this unit shows, we are going to talk about refer and reference. Refer is a verb. Here the main stress is on the final syllable. We do not say refer, we say refer, and other words also that end in fur are pronounced this way. So, you say prefer, confer, infer, refer, but once you make a noun out of this verb, then it is not reference, it is, or neither is it reference, it is then reference. As a noun it has one sort of stress, as verb it has another, another part of the word is stressed. As noun, yet another part of the word is stressed. We have to keep this in mind, and then everything else is very easy and follows. Let us look at nouns of 3 or longer syllables, but you will notice that most of these nouns take stress on the third syllable from the end, on the pre-final, or they use a Latin term in teachers' grammars. So, in the Latin terminology, this is known as the rule of anti-penultimate. Together they are pronounced as anti-penultimate. Together they are anti-penultimate. Okay, anti means before, pen means before, ultimate means final. Okay, so before final, that is what I have said, pre-final. So, look at these some nouns, academy, advocate, government, area, difference, services, it should be politics, community, president, several, anything, experience, federal, industry, it is not industry, it is industry, evidence, anything, experience, federal, billion, period, opportunity, economy, hospital, animal, individual, quality. You have to go like that, Character, analysis, benefit, democracy, manager, radio, particular, candidate, property, interview, principal, president, resident, residence, turmeric, uniform, visitor, yesterday, zoology, America, Canada, India, all of these words, and there are hundreds of others nouns in frequent use. So, but all nouns do not take stress only on the pre-final syllable. If they are nouns only have 2 syllables, then there is no pre-final, then the choice is either pre-final or final. Sometimes even in longer nouns, stress is only on the pre-final or final. Let us take a look. Okay, on these words, we have a stress on the pre-final syllable. So, you have director, professor, December, November, October, September, aroma, accountant, allowance, attendant, amendment, computer, republic, energy, condition, subject. Subject can also be a verb, then it will become subject, then the stress will go to the final syllable. But when it is noun, I am interested in this subject, then it is, the stress is on the initial syllable. Person, window, culture, brother, summer, 100, daughter, husband, Congress, people, 1,000, future, author, agent, nature, color, factor, decade, 7. Artist, treatment, pressure, answer, meeting, character. There are many more nouns that are stressed on the pre-final syllable. So look at nouns like another, water, mother, nation, money, service, father, power, member, minute, body, weather, parent, other, office, person, party, morning, reason, moment, process, music, market, college, someone, sometimes, effort, leader, difference, player, record, paper, matter. They are all pre-final. Okay. Sometimes even when you have words of longer than 2 syllables, the stress is only on the second syllable from the end. Okay. So project, produce, like subject, when produce is a noun, say for example, sugar is one of the main agricultural, sugar is an important agricultural produce in India. Okay. But when you use it as verb, then it becomes produce. India produces a good quantity of sugar. Okay. So produce, figure, picture, practice, product, doctor, patient, worker, movie, success, wonder, religion, region, section, answer, sister, finance, knowledge, expert, weapon, culture, worry, writer, trouble, challenge, beauty, shoulder. You can go on, and some practice in this manner will help you acquire correct stresses soon. And not only in these words, on these words, the beauty is this will spread all over other words also that follow the pattern of this word. Okay. That is why sometimes people have said drill is boring, boring in the sense of making hole. So drill may be boring in other sense as well. Doing a childlike practice may not always be very enjoyable, but sometimes when you have not simple clear rules, then it is better to go for this kind of drill or pattern practice. There are nouns, not many, but there are quite a few, that are stressed on the final syllable. Say for example, words that end in self, myself, himself, herself, ourselves, themselves, yourself. So myself, disease, today, himself, police, balloon would also come into this category. This today, degree, payee, cassette, tattoo, herself, tonight, yourself, ourselves, police, all of these words, would go into, they are nouns, yet they are stressed on the final syllable. There are similar patterns with verbs. Okay. There are some verbs of longer 3 syllables or longer that are stressed on the third syllable from the end, pre-final syllable. So verbs like anticipate, contaminate, other words, eliminate, discriminate, So similarly word, dignify, energize, fertilize, execute, hospitalize, laminate, localize, manipulate, navigate, organize, personify, realize, recognize. It is not recognize, it is recognize, signify, identify, indicate, analyze, accompany, participate, calculate, emancipate, falsify, justify, exemplify. You can go on. Make your own list, of words that you frequently use and have some practice with them, and you will find that within a matter of weeks you have acquired the standard accent, and that will help you, speak with much greater confidence and with much greater comprehension anywhere. There are verbs with, that are stressed on the pre-final syllable. Words like, verbs like abolish, admonish, happen, swallow, demolish, continue, follow, create, remember, consider, appear, develop, carry, listen, wonder. Visit, manage, that are stressed on the final syllable. And once again, they are not difficult to acquire or to relearn. Just need some practice in the following manner. You can go any way, which way you like. Just make a list of those words that you use frequently and see if they are already all right. Otherwise, check with the dictionary, and you will know if you are doing them right or there is deviation. If there is deviation, do as the dictionary says, and with this kind of practice. Here we go. Relieve, believe, provide, include. They are all verbs stressed on the final syllable. Understand, allow, expect, remain, suggest, control, require, report, decide, return, afford, explain, receive, agree, record, support, project, produce, describe. You see, these days, nearly all dictionaries have smart editions, online e-edition, e-dictionaries. So they not only indicate the pronunciation through international phonetic symbols, as we saw in the earlier unit, they also give you the spoken recorded pronunciation, so that it is much easier for you to follow them, and you can make your own list and go on. Just as here we go: describe, attend, account, avail, involve, increase, secure, behave, concern, protect, approach, determine, prepare, attack, compare, design, discuss. It is not discuss, it is discuss, forget, and other words also that imagine, finish, impact, respond. So that way, finish should not have been here. Enjoy, imagine, impact, respond, maintain, reveal, contain, apply, perform, contain, produce, affect, worry, improve. Worry can be both noun and verb. Again, worry need not be here because the stress is not on the final syllable. Human, local, better, special, easy, recent, certain, difficult, private, common, similar, usual, happy, pretty, sudden, average, acute, elegant, open, perfect, possible. Make your own list. And in the resource book, we have given many more words that are frequently used, you can also have practice with that or check against the same if you are doing the same way or there is a difference. There are certain kinds of word endings which really do not affect word stress. They follow the number of sounds rules. The stress on these words is not fixed. It is not the case that if a word ends in able or ible or ive or al or ful or er or ar or ary or ly or ous, etc., then the stress must be on a particular syllable before it. That is not the rule. Other rules apply. So, these words are, for instance, available, okay, active, beautiful, believable, blissful, competent, conspicuous, curious, cumulative, delightful, detergent, doubtful, executive, familiar, factual, gravitational, habitual, foolish, imaginary, judicial, kingly, laborious, managerial, nominal, national, personal, questionable, reasonable, respective, respectful, sensitive, tolerant, talkative, violent, willful, beneficial, beneficiary, removable, detergent, communicative, voter, teacher, driver, inverter, conductor, passenger, examiner, officer. These endings are er, ar, ary, etc. Do not have a fixed stress pattern according to length and other considerations explained in the resource book. The stress varies on them, but there are some endings, and endings like ate. In many books of grammar, these are called suffixes, fixed at the end, suffix, fixed at the end, just as there are prefix, things that are attached to the beginning of the word. So, you can say lawful, and if you say un, then it becomes unlawful. So, un is a prefix, but when you say lawless, then law is the word and less is the suffix added at the end. So, sometimes word endings are also known as suffix. Okay. So, these suffixes demand stress on a particular syllable before them. Say, for example, in 8, it is 2 syllables before 8. IAN, it is 1 syllable. IAL, 1 syllable. ION, 1 syllable. IC, 1. ISC, 2 syllables before. You can see the pattern and make your own list of words. So, for instance, it is academic, not academic. Academic, activity, not activity, but activity, activate, okay. Because the word ends in ate, this ate demands it should be 2 syllables before. So, you have ate here and I and a. Activate, classify, classification, just 1 syllable before. If words ends in IO, then you take it here. Classification, cosmetic, dramatic, demonetize, 2 syllables before. Energetic, 1 syllable before. Forensic, 1 syllable before. Humanity, only 1 syllable before. Invention, judicial, localize, but localizes 2 syllables before. Mechanize, nationalize, romantic, sympathize, scientific is not scientific, it is scientific. Okay. Just as there are other words, you can make your own list, sympathetic, synthetic, but there are also some exceptions like turmeric, arsenic, arithmetic, Catholic, politic, there are 4 or 5 words. Otherwise, words ending in IC take stress, main stress immediately before them, so that it is scientific, sympathetic, synthetic, systematic, that way. Similarly with career, EER immediately before, ERE immediately before, ERE immediately before. So, you have it is not career, it is career, sincere, severe, mountaineer, or write on them, just as you have taken career, write on them, sincere, write on them, on the suffix itself, on the word ending itself, mountaineer on the word ending itself, degree, EE, all words ending in EE take stress on the EE itself. So, you have employee, payee, okay, degree, but ION you go before, So, like this you can make your own list and have practice, and soon you will realize, soon you will find that, not only on these words, but all other words that follow this pattern have acquired, have undergone change in your accent, and you are speaking all of those words in the quote unquote standard manner, so that you will be better understood even by those who are not used to your accent of English. Okay. So, it is worth your while. Just a small test, I am sure it should not be difficult for you. Look at these words, mark stresses first and then check with the dictionary or with the answers I have given on the next slide. Okay. Thank you. Actually, before we close this unit, this topic of word stress is so complex and so big that it can take a long time. Okay. But to keep it within the semester length duration of the course, we have given it only a certain amount of time, and we have tried to indicate certain important aspects of this topic. Actually, you can, if you can find time, you can go to the resource book, look at it in some detail, and also have some more practice there with your own list or with the lists given there, and you will find that, just as I have been saying, under a few weeks, 4 to 6 weeks of practice, and practice also not 3 hours, 2 hours, 1 hour daily, about 10 to 15 minutes, not more than half an hour, but daily, maybe 15 minutes in the morning, 15 in the evening, with list of these words. They will form, your habit, your accent will change. You will form a new habit, and all other words will reset themselves, reorganize themselves in your accent. So, with that we end this unit on word stress. Thank you.